Okay, so this is gonna be not scripted really at all. But someone on TikTok wanted me to go over the synths and shit that I used in this project. And I kind of wanted to do a breakdown video myself. So I'm just gonna do it. No script, no anything, just kind of running through everything I did. I'm gonna start with the drop because that seems to be the most important part. I'm gonna start with the synths first. First thing I did here, I'm not gonna go through like how I built it. I'm just gonna run through everything that's here. First thing is a super saw layer. And this is meat and serum. I made this following a what is their username? It's like PXPQQ or something like that. They have a really good hyperflip video on their channel on YouTube. I will link that in the description. Um, and this is basically the same saw that's in that video. It's a little bit different because I couldn't get the sound to be exactly the same, but it's close enough. It's two saws, just in your basic shapes wavetable, with 8 to 10 voices of unison, slightly detuned, with a ARP pink white noise layered on top, and then I just run all of that through multiband compression, distortion, tube distortion, and then a little bit of hyperdimension, like barely any. The mix is on what, yeah, 6%, so literally barely anything. And then straight out of serum, that sounds like this. And then I run that with this peak controller helps modulate the piano sound, so this doesn't actually affect the super saw's sound at all. I then put an OTT on top with 34% depth, 100% on upward downward, and then 4.7 decibels out. And then I run an EQ to boost some of those really high frequencies and cut all those subs out because I want to give the actual sub bass room to sit in the mix. And then I've got a wave shaper to just really distort and crunch the fuck out of that signal. Because distorted as fuck, super saws are your friend when making shit. And then underneath that, I've got a piano, and this is just a Serum 2 stock piano because there's a really good in here. It's the piano classic layer with like an OTT. It's got Portal on it on the granular heat preset to kind of give it some granularity, just because I think it sounded cool. And then obviously OTT as well. 63% depth and no upward downward because I really wanted this to have that super compressed sound to it. A convolver for reverb. I really just wanted this to be kind of ear candy. I didn't want it to be super heavy in the mix. A chroma to give it a little bit of color, a little bit of spectral sound. This fruity balance is linked up to these saws. Because if I don't do this, the reverb kind of builds up and swells, which I don't want. I want the signal to cut out whenever the notes stop playing, so I have this routed to the peak, like the volume of these saws. So these cut out here as well. And then a stereo shaper just to give it some stereo width, and I think this is on the second preset from initial, so just 1, 2, and that just gives it some stereo detail, I guess. This sub bass is from a future bass kit that I bought years and years and years ago. I don't know how to make this because I didn't make this, but it's seems to be two saws. This one's up 7 semitones and a white noise, and then this is run into hyperdimension, distortion, compressor, and EQ. You can take a look at that if you want to try and remake this. Like I said, I didn't make this. This is from a pack that I have, but sounds really good. And this has just got OTT, EQ to pull down some of the mids and highs and boost some of the lows, and then a kilohertz distortion on saturate, just to really get it to be crunchy. And then for the pad and vocal chop, this is Mirror by Porter Robinson, and I just chop the fuck out of it. The one thing I forgot to do, which you should do in your project, is have this sample be actually like in time with your project. I forgot to do this until like I was basically done with the track, but with how I've chopped it, it sounds fine. But to play it safe, make sure all your samples are in time. Like if I just let this sample run without any chops, it would kind of sound like ass because it's not in time. But then I've got the instrument track because this is just the vocals isolated with FL's like little stem extractor tool. This is the instruments that I ran into Edison and used the blur tool to make a pad out of it. It's just doing that little chop rhythm, and I put this down first, found this chop first, and then I built these chords off of this. And then for the drums, I'm going to do the drop first, and then I'll work the rest of the way through the track. I started with this little snare. I just like the little like noisiness of it. And then this kick, I believe, is this. It's from one of my Daria Core kits that I got a couple years ago, but it sounds like that. I just have, I have the first bar of this drop cut out just because I like it when I like how that sounds. But the drums, I've got this other little like higher pitched snare that plays after. So that's the drum loop. For percussions and stuff like that, I've got this hi-hat that plays really quick, this open hat, and then this laser that plays, which this laser has chroma on it to give it, to make it really colorful, just because I like how that shit sounds. And then I've got just white noise every 4 bars, and then a cheer every 4 bars as well. Sounds a little weird for some reason, but I don't know why it sounds like that, but it doesn't sound that freaked up in the rest of the mix. But altogether, those drums sound like, oh, and I've also got this little riser that I use multiple times, and some whooshes just to transition in between places, but I'll get to that later. So these drums, and then I've also got this downlifter from this Sticks and Nurture kit. So altogether, that's what my drums sound like. And then I have this little drum fill here, where I do this snare. Oops. I do these 2 snares, then reverse the kick back on itself, and then I couldn't figure out how to automate it, so I just took, I rendered out a bar of my sub bass and just pitched it down like that to kind of lead into the next section, which I have all these chords sustain for longer here. It's the same chords, same sounds and everything, just. And then I've also got this open hat playing every, I think it's every bar, so I don't know, but just on every offbeat. I think I changed the drum pattern up a little bit too with the kicks. And in the second part, I've got this chromed dubstep growl. This one is just from one of the mini sample kits I have, but really any kind of just like bro step, dubstep kind of growl will work. Just as long as it sounds good, like you can make those in Vital and Serum, like you can find just one shots of those. Those aren't hard to find. Um, and then for the intro part over here, I've got the FL metronome, clicking in for this first four bars. And then I've got another instance of the Serum keyboard, fucking not keyboard, piano, playing the playing Azrael's theme from Undertale because it's good. And then I've got these two claps on every beat. One's kind of just a generic clap, and then this one just adds some texture. Then I've got all of these little transition effects hit. And then I've got more transition effects. Lull bit voices from somewhere. I don't know where I got them from, but I've had them for forever. They just kind of fill out the track here. And then I've got the plucks isolated from, it's a really old Jane Weaver song. I think it's Beast Friend. Yeah, it's Beast Friend. And then I've got those blurred with the Edison blur tool here. Once I start to bring more stuff in. And here I bring the piano and bass in. I start to bring the vocal chops in here. Actually, first, what this all sounds like, this little intro part. And then I've got several little glitch sound effects from various kits. Got this one, and then that. And those just transition into here where I've got this kind of loud ass snare. That's automated. I've got all those effects are back. I've got this play in the back, and of course the. Howie, stop barking! Barking. I've got this. I mean, you need to have that. It's iconic. So that's the build up. I don't know what he's barking at. And then for here, I've just got a lot of fucking glitches and shit. Those are from various kits. I just went here and did glitch, and then just scrolled through here and found shit. And you kind of chopped it up and just layered it till I thought it sounded good. Really, no specific way I did it. I just kind of did it until I liked how it sounded. And then this transition into the next part. I bring the piano back. I have a slight variation of this, but this bass line is here now, and it's the same tune as the theme, like the menu theme from Undertale. It's the bing 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 bing. So that just plays underneath it. And then I've got these hi-hats and this snare. Or that's not a snare, that's a fucking open. Oops. And then I bring in all my effects again. I bring those plugs back in. But then I bring in another acapella from one of my own songs, pitched up to be in time. And then these over here are the claps from earlier. More effects. And then for this drop, I went over here and set this into triplets. and this whole drop is kind of based around a triplet rhythm. So the hi-hats here play on triplets, the kicks are all on triplets. And the chords also mostly play triplets. Some of these chops are quarter notes, but for the most part, then I have kind of the same thing over here. I bring the same saws in, playing different chords, sub bass, same sub bass, and then I have this separate synth that only plays here. Okay, this is Serum number 5. This is, I think, just a stock Serum synth as well, but this kind of just sits in the background and adds a little bit of something just to kind of set this drop apart. I'm getting a phone call from my dad. 1 second. Okay, I bet. Anyway, so these just play that kind of triplet pattern, whatever the fuck. I don't know. The drums are a lot more simple here. It's this same snare as last time, and then this other snare that I'm bringing in just for this drop. Excuse me. And then of course just the same effects and shit. And then this growl is back. And then this just transitions directly back into the main drop. I still got that 4 bars cut out, but I transitioned back with the Azrael piano. And then that just plays exactly the same as this one over here. And then I close out the song with the blur pad, like the Plux blur and the Azrael piano. And then when this fades out, as this fades out, I pull a bit crush on the reverb tail of this and pull the master gain up here. And my plan is to transition into some other song through this. Because I want this to be for an album. I may put this out early as a single, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, that's how I made this. I'm probably gonna take this and chop it up or make a smaller video for TikTok specifically. But I mean, this is because this is for YouTube. That's I make hyperflip. That's how I made this track.